want to get a question out there in this week's episode, and I said, of course, shoot it over. So I figured I'd read this, and Frank and I could dive into this one for tonight. Yeah. So the question is about control. What are you in control of, and what are you not in control of? Some people say that there's a divine plan where nothing is in our control, and others say that we are in control of the timing and manifesting of everything around us because we are technically God in a human body. So there's a lot to digest in this. I'm going to read it again after I finish this, and we'll take it kind of piece by piece. But I know that both are true in different ways.
Well,
let's go over.
Yeah, so to give a quick answer, then we're going to dive into it.
Let me read it back one more time.
All right.
Okay, so question is about control. What are you in control of, and what are you not in control of? Some people say that there's a divine plan where nothing is in our control, and others say that we are in control of everything, the timing, the manifesting, everything around us, because we are technically God in a human body.
Okay. Now, I'm going to start off by saying it's the same degree. The question, so it's this and that. So the question comes from a different pole on each side of the thing, but it's just the question is a different degree of the same answer we're going to give. So depending on how you look at it, we have control over our perception to what's happening. The world's coming at us. In the paradox of that, because we have control of perception, our perception then proceeds out into the physical world, and then we are actually brushing the strokes on the canvas in which we call the physical world. It's this and that. So it's how you're looking at it. So some people will think those are opposing questions. They're not. They're supportive questions. So first, if you feel that your life is out of control and you have no control, we'll go into the world of perspective onto, okay, this thing happened to me. Rather than blaming, I'm in control of this, I created this because I am God. And why would I do this to myself? Well, for one, there's a part of us that is connected to God, but there's a part of us that's having an experience that can be disconnected or muffled out. We're never really disconnected from source, but we can drown out the noise and not get the information. Just like a cell phone is
constant stimulation.
Yeah, exactly. Just like a cell phone is always on, but if I'm driving through the mountains and the cell tower is out of distance, all of a sudden if I'm on the phone with somebody, it cuts out. But my cell phone didn't turn off. It's just the connection got displaced for the moment. So if I'm in that position, if I'm in that pole of the question, if I change my perspective to what's happening, or even to what happened if you want to go that far, and I look at it differently, I literally change the history of what happened. And that's when I become in control of creating the outside world like we would think as we are gods. So they're the same. It's just which direction you're looking from it. Right? If I'm here looking at the hub, from here, it's different degrees of the same thing.
So
is that clear? I don't.
Yeah. So I mean, like when I read that, this is a question that me personally, I went back and forth with internally like a lot.
Oh, you consider this could be a 2-hour, 3-hour conversation.
Exactly. Just this one statement of, is there a divine plan? If you is there a divine plan, or are you in control? So, for me, when I began to learn these concepts, I fell in love with the idea where I saw that I was in control. With the emotion, with the experience, with everything. And it was very much so for me a stance where I was like, okay, I'm personally in control of what I'm experiencing. And in fact, I did not like the idea that there was a divine plan. I did not like thinking that things would just fall into place, and I didn't have a sense of control over that. Where I'm at today in my life, I would say there is a divine plan. We are playing out an experience. Like Frank was saying, our perception to what we're experiencing is our sense of control.
But as our perception also it adds upon to the plan.
Oh, absolutely.
So even as I change, even the movie will change along with it, even different than what the director output it if I change the way I play my. So we are both in control on both sides of it. It's just how you're looking at it.
I guess though, what I'm getting at is, I realized for me personally, it was a very ego-driven experience for me to state I am in control. In fact, it was me trying to experience this silence, experience this this being within a person. And, okay, I just found the key to achieving everything I want on a very material level. And there is so much more than that. And in all honesty, there is a greater plan playing out. And when I allow myself to observe that, I realize how not in control I am. And so that's why this question is kind of funky, is if you think... So I want people to know you are God. I will stand by that statement. You are God. And again, the way people hear this, and depending on what level you're at, it will come through in different ways. But you are the silence. You are the awareness. When you say a prayer, who is witnessing that prayer? It is you. Who is talking? Who is witnessing the person talking to you? That is God. That is the awareness. That's what I'm talking about when I say you are God. I am not saying that you can control every moment in your life like you're wanting to, because that's how the person thinks. That's how the human thinks. This must unfold like that in order for me to be happy or to experience what I call grace or whatever. It's, again, a very conditioned, ego-driven way to think. But I also didn't like feeling trapped. I was also like, this is why I'm saying I struggled a lot with this, guys. Like, I felt trapped. I was like, wait, so you're telling me that everything is just kind of planned out? So my choices, and it's like, no, that's not what I'm saying.
The story's not done.
Exactly. There are, it's kind of like this, like, would you ever manifest, one of your parents dying, one of your siblings dying, a friend passing? No, of course not. But these things will come up. And there's bigger lessons that will unfold around us that are meant to make us elevate and grow even more as a spirit and become more and more one. And to say that you created that from that ego stance or you manifested that is simply not true.
Yeah. Well...
You did not manifest your brother passing. You know what I mean?
No. But I am not my brother.
Of course. So, but you see what I mean, though?
Yeah, so I'm going to simplify this in a way, but I'm just going to use this as an analogy. So picture yourself playing a video game or you're interacting with a video game. So God would be the person who wrote the format of the code of the game, but they don't tell you how to play it. And even the person who wrote the game will find that some 12-year-old kid broke through a wall that they might have been aware of, but they didn't understand because they found these principles. Or they're playing the game in which they realize, it was never intended for that. So God lays out these principles and laws, but it's still the free will to change the story or alter the story. But if I say I want it to happen this way, all I'm doing is replaying the story on a loop, and that's boring. Because when I go to see James Bond, the new version, the latest version, yes, I'm aware of the characters, I'm aware of the premise of what's going to happen, but I don't know the storylines, I don't know the output, nor do I want to. So no one wants to live a life that they want to control it.
We think we do when we're at that level.
Base level, yeah.
We do. Because I remember going through that.
Yeah. Because I had an experience, it turned out good. But why did the experience turn out good? Because you didn't know it was going to happen. That's why it turned out good.
True.
Yeah. And you were open to it. So
it was a knowing. It was a trusting.
That's why when we were younger, we're typically open until we're taught to be closed. That's why most of our childhood, depending where you grew up, was supreme. Then we started getting a little bit older, and we started learning things from our elders, like you ought not to do this, you should do this. If this happens, no good. Make sure you do this. And all of a sudden, we start to close down and get very rigid. All right? So from that point, we want to become more malleable and more open. Now, if you became real rigid, I suggest you start to open up slowly. Don't jump in and be naive in this world. So when Mike says we are all gods, yeah, a part of us is God, but also to try to take that in and not reject it. Because a piece of it is us is God, but we're also here in this physical world. And in order for me to be physical, this frequency has to be at a lower density. So this physical me is limited to what actual God can do. So I am a part of God, but my physical body is very limited in that. But guess what? With all the limitations I have is where the infinite possibilities arise.
See, but God is not the control of everything. And I feel like that's how people are look at God.
God,
like a controller of
yeah,
all.
the way I look at God, God is encumbrance in everything, but has no opinion onto it. Just like
exactly, it is a
to
free form working in tandem.
But there are these principles and rules. If you go against them, there'll be consequences. So this is how we came up to. So a lot of it that we talk about isn't malarkey. Where I think where a lot of the malarkey comes from is not what we were talking about or where religion comes in. It's the doctrines on how to get there. Now, someone might have done this, A, B, and C, D, and life worked out for them. So what they did is they reverse engineer it and said, everyone in my religion must do this. But it doesn't work out that way for everybody else. So what do I say as the head of my religion? You must be doing it wrong. No. What I did to get to this place, I did in that moment, but I didn't plan it out. It just so happened it turned out that way. And because I have a thing called a memory, I reverse engineer it and says, this happened because of this. That isn't the empirical causation. There are correlations, though. I'm not denying the correlations of this and this and this and ending up with this. But if I do this and Mike does this, we're going to get different results. They might be very similar, but they're going to be different. So we are in this confined of a limitation. But like I said a couple of podcasts before, if you didn't have a limitation of a football field 100 yards by 50 yards, you couldn't play unlimited games. But if you had an unlimited field, there is no game to be had. It's gone.
Chaos.
Well, it just gets washed away. Where does somebody just scream?
Yeah, there's nothing to be held together, if you will.
There's no boundaries. And boundaries create the idea in the physical world in which we're in, the infinite possibilities that could be done.